In this video, I want to go ahead and show you how to replace our coolant expansion tank located right here under your hood. Using a flathead screwdriver, we're just going to go ahead and loosen up this hose clamp for our intake tube to our air filter box lid. Going to loosen this up enough where we can go ahead and remove this tube right here, like so. Let's go ahead and grab the upper engine cover, gently tug it upward, pull it off, and set it aside. Now on this wire harness right here, you want to go ahead and pull back on this red clip. You're going to pull it back and unlock it. Push down on this tab behind that red lock clip, and wiggle that connector off. Use your flathead screwdriver, loosen the clamp here, grab the hose, and gently tug that. Now on the front side of our air box here, there's going to be two little plastic clips. You're just going to push on those there, lift up, and as you lift up on the air box lid here, there's a hose on the back side right here. Simply going to hold that, twist it right off, set that aside. Go ahead and grab your air filter. Just go ahead, pop that right out, set that aside. Right here we have a 10mm bolt. Go ahead and loosen and remove that. This is holding our lower portion of our air filter box in place. Let's see if we can go ahead and grab that and pull this up and set that aside. I want to go ahead and remove our cap here off of our expansion tank. I'm going to pop that off and set that aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and take your power steering reservoir here. I'm going to pull this straight up. There's a little tab on the side. You're going to push that over. Just give this a little wiggle, and this will come up, and we'll just kind of let that float. Next, disconnect your hose here for your coolant. We're simply going to use a pair of pliers here. Go ahead, loosen that hose clamp. Work that back a little bit. I want to grab that hose and we just kind of give it a little twist just to break it free. Like so. Let's go ahead and pull on that while we wiggle that off. There are two 10mm bolts securing this that are right on top here. There's one here, one just beside it. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove those. Now at this point here, you can go ahead and lift this up, and we're going to twist it forward. The reason why I want to do this here is I want to show you there's a lower hose down below here that is held on by a hose clamp. So this is pretty much going to be the only way you're going to be able to access this here. You do want to go ahead and evacuate the coolant from in here if you can. If not, simply place a drain bucket underneath the vehicle. You can go ahead and disconnect this hose and let that coolant run down the side and into that drain bucket. Make sure you take precautions to do so. Now we're just going to try and evacuate as much of this as possible. Anything residual out of that hose there on the back side, we'll go ahead and put some towels underneath the vehicle and a drain bucket. Now we pull out as much of the coolant as possible. It does have some residual in the reservoir, so we put some towels underneath the vehicle to catch any of that fluid that's going to come out. Simply use a pair of our pliers here. I'm going to go ahead and compress this clamp here. Go ahead and slide this back. As we do this here, the hose is working its way off as well. All right, we'll go ahead and pop this off. I'm going to twist that reservoir. Now with the expansion tank off, I'm going to go ahead and compress this clamp a bit more and work this back, it's just going to make it easier for us to install our new unit here. Just wiggle that down. Now that we have that clamp moved back, we'll go ahead and pop this right onto our new reservoir here. Work that back. And let's go ahead and move that clamp back up into position. Now that we have that on, we can simply go ahead and set this back down into place. Let's go ahead and install our two 10mm bolts. Let's go ahead and get these bolts started by hand. And we'll snug those down. Going to install our upper hose here. Slide that on. Going to install your radiator cap here. Let's now install our power steering pump reservoir. Just going to line up our little tabs here on the side, press this down, and it'll snap right into place. Go ahead and give this a wipe down, clean up everything. At this point here, you want to go ahead and top off your expansion tank to this line right here where it says cold fill line right here. So go ahead and use the recommended coolant for the vehicle. I'm going to go ahead and fill this accordingly. And once we have that filled up to that cold fill line, go ahead and install that radiator cap, twist it up, make sure that's locked into place. Let's go ahead and install our lower portion of the air box itself. Lower this down. You're going to have to manipulate a couple of the hoses on the bottom for this to pop down into place. Push it into the rubber grommet. You want to make sure that this right here lines up with the bolt hole. It's going to install our bolt for here. All right. You want to go ahead and drop your air filter down into the box. Make sure that it's fully seated. We'll go ahead and install the upper lid. It's going to be 3 tabs on the back side. You want to install those first. And then bring down the front side. Press that down, the 2 front tabs will lock into place. On the back side of the airbox lid, you're going to have a vacuum hose. Install that on the back port. Go ahead and take your air intake tube here. We're going to work that onto both the airbox as well as our throttle body here. Now I want to go ahead and tighten down our hose clamps here. Snug those down. Install that front connector on the intake sensor. press it till you hear it click in, and then press that red lock tab in. That'll lock it into place. Now I want to go ahead and tighten down our back port right here. Tighten down that hose clamp. And go ahead and snug that down. Go ahead and lower the cover down into place. Lining up the pins and press that down to lock it into place.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.